This week, Donkey Kong Country turns 20 years old, and to celebrate, I thought it'd be worth my while to count down my favorite levels in the Donkey Kong Country series. Originally, I was going to do a top 10, but considering the sheer number of levels in the series, and the fact that the series itself turns 20, I'm going to do a top 20. I thought it would be more poignant to make a bigger list. This countdown was immensely difficult for me to make because of how much I love the games. I rated these levels based off of fun factor, appeal, gameplay, music, and the impression they made on me. So without wasting any more time, let's get started. Number 20. KROCKHEAD Clamber is one of the few swampy marsh themed levels from Donkey Kong Country 2. I love it because of the environment you find yourself in, and in general, the platforming. Pretty exact jumps and climbing skills are needed in order to traverse this swamp. It's very fun to run through this stage, and it's even more satisfying to bounce off large trails of enemies. Overall, it's a great stage and offers good challenge and fun factor. Number 19. Pothole Panic is a very fun cavern stage in Donkey Kong Country 3. You use almost every different animal bunny, and they sure do come in handy as you make your way through the deep, winding cave. I always like this stage because it offers lots of different gameplay styles. Due to this, you have to stay cautious and on your toes for what might be coming up next. It's somewhat difficult but very rewarding. I've always loved this stage and always will. Definitely worth giving a try. Number 18. The Golden Temple is the final stage in Donkey Kong Country Returns, and it only becomes unlocked when you get every Kong letter and puzzle piece. Donkey and Diddy go in, eat a golden banana, but then they get sucked up into the sky. Here you can jump across giant berries, golden bananas, crumbling platforms. The stage always appealed to me because it is so drastically different from any other stage in the game. You can't tell if it's reality or a hallucination. It's wondrous fun, but unbelievably difficult. But being the last level of an already difficult game, this is to be expected. It's hard to access and even harder to beat, but trust me, it's worth it. Number 17. BOPOPOLIS is one of the most unique stages in any game in the series. The whole aspect of this stage is to bop off trails of enemies, which is fun and satisfying in its own right, but it is so difficult it actually makes you master this mechanic. BOPOPOLIS might turn away many fans because it's pretty difficult and not a stage we even have to play to beat the game. But for me, it was a real blast. It can be frustrating, but it's also loads of fun to play. If you have Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze and missed this one on your first playthrough, I definitely recommend going back and playing it. Number 16. I really love the snow-themed levels in the Donkey Kong Country series, and LEMGUIN Lunge is one of my absolute favorites. The beautiful mountain atmosphere combined with the challenge of avoiding trails of crazy belly-sliding penguins make this stage especially fun and memorable to me. Going up and down slopes and hills and just admiring the backgrounds decorated with cabins, snowmen, and other small details remind me of being in a ski town. It's just a lovely and inviting place. This is definitely one of Donkey Kong Country 3's stages that cannot be passed up. Number 15. Oh man, where do I start with Sunset Shore? Just look at it. The art style is so unique and beautiful that you can't help but appreciate it. The jazzy musical track make this stage stick out to me too. I remember watching video of this game and seeing this wondrous stage and just falling in love with it. Though the stage itself is pretty simple and fairly straightforward, I can't help but love it. This is definitely a series staple now, and it is rightly deserved. It's just the right amount of difficult that you can be distracted by the environment and still focus on the gameplay. If you haven't sampled this stage yet, you are really missing out. Number 14. Imagine this. You're traversing a dangerous mountainside. The wind is blowing. It's frigid cold and now a blizzard is moving in. That's basically Snow Barrel Blast. You run through blinding snow, crossing canyons by blasting out of rickety wooden barrels, trying not to slip slide away. Beating this stage is no small feat either, even with your wits about you. The amount of enemies, the slippery terrain, and the tedious barrel blasting make this one a toughie, but pain is the name of the game, and beating this stage makes you feel like king of the mountain. Number 13. This was a really tough pick to make, but I ultimately picked Rope Bridge Rumble over Treetop Town simply because it offers more challenge. Going through this wondrous village built high up in the trees of a deep forest is one of my fondest memories of playing Donkey Kong Country for the first time. You have to bounce off of tires on moving platforms, avoiding giant bees, and it's a true platforming challenge. As hard as this stage is, you never get discouraged because you never get sick of the environment. It's great fun that leaves a huge impression. Number 12. Stormy Seas is an exclusive stage to the world Pacifica that can only be found in the Game Boy Advance version of Donkey Kong Country 3. It reminds me of a clear summer night on the beach of Mexico. It's very atmospheric, and overall the stage is just a treat to play. Climbing ropes, swimming, and avoiding the running barrels are all part of the stage that I love. The crashing waves in the starry sky are very entrancing, and overall it just goes to show that just as much effort went into creating the extra stages in the game as into the original stages. Number 11. KOINDOZER KLAMBER is one of the final stages in Donkey Kong Country 3, and you know what, I always really like this one. You are in a deep jungle avoiding Kremlings with armor and shields who charge at you. They try to knock you into the pits with their shields. This idea always struck me as unique. You could also position the Kremlings and use them as platforms. It's just too bad that this is the only stage these enemies appear in, because truthfully I think they add a lot of diversity to an already vast game. The stage is pretty easy for how deep it is into the game, and it's pretty fun to replay too. Number 10. Necky Nutmare is exclusive to the Game Boy Color version of Donkey Kong Country, and as a matter of fact, it's the only exclusive stage in the whole game, but for whatever reason, it always made an impact on me. I remember looking for this stage in the other versions of this game, but it wasn't there. Maybe its exclusiveness is why I like it so much. The stage itself is pretty difficult too. If you think the vulture enemies are annoying now, wait until you try out this stage. It really is a nightmare. This stage includes pretty intense sequences of platforming, and you'll be avoiding tons of nuts too. I always wondered why they didn't include this stage in the Game Boy Advance remake of Donkey Kong Country a few years later. But as of now, it's really what sets apart the Game Boy Color version to the other two versions of the game for me. If you're a die-hard Donkey Kong Country fan and have never tried this stage out, I definitely recommend doing so. Number 9. Homecoming Hijinks reunites Donkey Kong with his home island after it was taken over by the Snowmans. It was just so cool to see the normally vibrant jungle covered in frost and snow. This level offers a variety of challenge and is masterfully crafted to the point where you can still make out the original aspects of the jungle, while maintaining a fresh new gameplay style. Although I do prefer Donkey Kong's jungle in its normal tropical state, it was really cool to see this other aspect of it and have it frozen over in Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. This stage entails so many platforming challenges. It's like a culmination of everything you've learned and mastered throughout the previous parts of the game. This is a great stage that is sure to be a classic. Number 8. One of the stages in the lost world of Donkey Kong Country 2, Black Ice Battle, is the perfect combination of serenity and difficulty. Diddy and Dixie find themselves in a large ice-filled cavern with Kremlings and are just trying to get to the bottom of the cave. I love this level because it's the only one of its kind in a series that has over 250 levels in it. It has the perfect amount of difficulty and variety. The music fits the stage like a sock and is one of the best the game has to offer. Although hard to initially access and to beat, it's definitely not one to pass up. Number 7. Frantic Fields takes a brand new concept to exponentially high levels. The Kongs find themselves in the middle of a huge tornado that is ripping the very ground out from beneath their feet. Luckily, they have Rambi the Rhinoceros to help them navigate through this inferno of a storm. There's just something so rewarding about outrunning the storm and avoiding rogue enemies and objects. I think this pushed the envelope in terms of level creation, and I appreciate the minds behind the creation of this stage. Overall, Frantic Fields is one of the best and most intense experiences you can have in Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. Number 6. Jelly Jamboree is just pure creativity and fun. It's probably the most enjoyment I had on any stage in Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. There's just something about jumping off of jelly platforms and figuring out the correct sequence to activate other jelly blocks in order to get you to safety. The enemies are also jumping on the platforms, which is just an awesome touch. The backgrounds are incredibly detailed and gorgeous, and they really match the style of the level. For me personally, it doesn't get much better than this. Number 5. Possibly the only stage in the original trilogy where you are actually encouraged to speedrun, Riverside Race is an incredibly fun and fast-paced level. Your goal is to beat the record held by the Olympic bear runner, Brash. There aren't many enemies or obstacles, but it is a challenge to improve on your times once you've figured the stage out. You can cheat and use a warp barrel, or you can beat the level fair and square. The choice is yours. It's as unique as they come in the series, and it's just straight up awesome. Number 4. What better a stage to include on this list than the one that started it all? Jungle Hijinks. It's the first stage of the game, and in my humble opinion, it just might be the best introductory stage in any video game. There's so much to do and so much to see. You can go into Donkey Kong's house, you can break open Diddy Kong's barrel, admire your banana hoard, ride Rambi the Rhino and find hidden caves and bonus rooms. You can explore the treetops. You can even wait until it's dark out and explore the stage at night. For many, myself included, this was the first experience many people had with Donkey Kong Country, and it's just as memorable now as it was back then. The stage is crafted so even the most novice of players can have fun with it. In my view, it's the perfect intro to the perfect game. Number 3. Castle Crush is hands down my favorite stage in Donkey Kong Country 2, and for several reasons. For one, it's so unique. In this stage, you are stuck on a rising platform, navigating through a large medieval castle, avoiding and taking out large groups of enemies. Secondly, the music. It fits this stage with perfection. You encounter almost every different enemy, and once you've beaten this stage, you feel like you've conquered the world. Castle Crush is an amazing stage with an amazing premise. Out of all of Donkey Kong Country 2, this is my fondest memory. Number 2. It was down to Minecart Madness or Minecart Carnage for this pick, and while they are both in my top 25, only one is in my top 20. The one that cracked the list is Minecart Carnage. From the moment you first enter the cave and the music starts up, you know you're in for something intense. Donkey Kong and Diddy ride at a minecart over rickety rails, jumping over bottomless pits. You have no way of stopping. It's just crazy. It looks fun, yet at the same time extremely dangerous. It's the perfect balance of speed and turmoil, and I love it for it. The first time you play it, your brow sweats, your heart beats, and your hands tremble. To me, that's about as good as a video game can get. When you beat it, you feel like you are walking on the clouds. And my favorite Donkey Kong Country level of all time is Oil Drum Alley. Oil Drum Alley is visually a huge departure from the rest of Donkey Kong Country. Gone are the colorful backgrounds and environments. Now, welcome to a dark and gritty factory. The music is both scary and dark, but also inspirational, and it fits the stage phenomenally. The platforming is varied and unique from the rest of the game. It's a place Donkey and Diddy Kong would have never have dared to go, but in the spirit of adventure, they face up to their fears and overcome it. It's my absolute favorite in the series. Never has a stage felt so daunting and deep. Once you've learned all of the factory's tricks, you still feel like there is more to know. I defy you to play Oil Drum Alley without getting shivers down your spine. Yeah, it's that good. Thanks for watching my picks of the top 20 Donkey Kong Country stages. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know.